There are so many beauty myths out there on the internet and in the magazines you read, and it gets so frustrating. And one of them, that a topic that is written the most about, and there is so many different myths about it, are blackheads. So today I would like to talk about blackheads, the different myths that are out there about blackheads. Some of them are truly funny, and what blackheads really are and how to take care of them. Hi, my name is Jana. I'm a skincare trainer and educator, and my passion is teaching people how to care for their skin. And one of the reasons I actually started the Beauty Business blog is to tell people the facts, what really works and what doesn't, because there's just so much misinformation out there on the internet. So today I'm going to be talking about 9 myths about blackheads. So the misinformation that's written about blackheads, some of them include, what causes blackheads, and some of the things that people talk about, how to treat blackheads, that you're just wasting your time and money. It just doesn't work. So I'm going to be talking about those, what blackheads actually are, and how you truly can treat the blackheads, how to use proper products and treatments to actually get rid of blackheads. But before I talk about blackheads, let me talk about the latest beauty news. So I was reading some articles this week, and this one caught my eye, and I had a little giggle about it because a dermatologist, so there was an article written called Best Ways to Cleanse Your Face According to Dermatologists on independent.co.uk, and I'll link to that article in the notes after the broadcast. And the reason I had a bit of a giggle is because what the dermatologist was sharing is what your beauty therapist has been telling you for years. And it's kind of like dermatologists are almost now starting to teach people about correct skincare. And they've got their minds open to other approaches rather than just prescribing drugs, medicines, which is exciting. What's exciting is that they're talking about prevention, not just constantly addressing cures. So this article was really interesting because it's what you've probably heard from your beauty therapists, or your whenever you see them. So what did they talk about? All these dermatologists in this article talked about. So she said one of the things people do go wrong with when they cleanse their skin is not cleansing the skin at all, or just splashing water. And I've talked about this before in my articles, in my broadcasts, about how people think that just splashing water is enough to clean your skin. Water doesn't have enough ingredients in it to remove makeup, to remove the buildup of pollution and dirt on your skin and the dust and the oil residue. You actually need a good cleanser to cleanse the skin on the face. I mean, think about it. We cleanse our hair with shampoos. We cleanse our body with shower gels or soaps. And you need something for the face. So the dermatologist was talking about, the mistake people make by not cleansing their skin properly. And also the other mistake that people make, which I have talked about before as well, is that people think that they only need to cleanse the skin at night to remove the makeup and the dirt and the pollution and grime from the day. However, the dermatologist advised that you should be cleaning your skin in the morning as well, because in the morning your skin is cleansed of the nighttime routine, the buildup of oils and sweat that occur overnight, as well as preparing your skin for serums and creams. So I thought that was interesting. Also, the dermatologist advised against over cleansing the skin. Now, I've talked about this before because over-cleansing can strip your skin of your natural acid mantle, which is your first-line defense against bacteria and fungal infections. So keeping your acid mantle is very important, and using a correct cleanser that keeps your pH correct is really important too. So she said, which is, I was so excited to read this because it is my theory also. She said, I'm not a fan of foaming cleansers, and this is something I've said myself. I personally am not a fan of foaming cleansers because they can over cleanse your skin and strip your skin. So look for cleansers that are moisturizing with vitamin B, B6, B5, or B5 particularly, which is hydrating, B3, such as niacinamide, which is calming and anti-inflammatory, as well as anti-inflammatory botanical extracts that keeps your skin nice and calm and moisturized while you're cleansing. So that's the best way to care for your skin when you're cleansing. So I'll link to that article below in the notes after the broadcast, and you can also jump on my group, the Beauty Business Students Group on Facebook, and I'll link to it again below, where you can read these articles as I come across them. I tend to publish them there first before I talk about them on the broadcast here. So people on the group are the first to know. Now, the other thing I'd like to share is what are the top most popular articles on the Beauty Business blog this week. So the top articles this week on the Beauty Business blog are people are reading about professional resurfacing techniques and which suit your skin the best. So there is an article, I can link to it below if you'd like. And the other article people are reading the most is 4 products you should never use on your face. So if you'd like to read that article, I'll link to it below as well. I'm very excited. I'm up to 130,000 readers on my blog. So just in the past month, I've had over 10,000 people visit my blog. So obviously these articles are useful for people and people find them interesting. So if you haven't visited the blog, it's thebeautybusiness.com.au, and you can find a link on my page as well. So let's talk about blackheads. Let's talk about those myths that people write about blackheads and causing people to waste their time and money doing things that don't really work. So the first myth about blackheads is that makeup and skincare can cause blackheads. This is a big myth because majority of the skincare and makeup made today is non-comedogenic. Now, non-comedogenic means it doesn't clog the pores. So especially true for professional skincare. They don't even bother putting it on the label because it's just the norm today. Today, they just develop skincare products that will not clog your pores. I mean, people wouldn't be using it if it did. The things that can clog your pores, that's in skincare, that would be probably your cheaper brand skincare that you find in those drugstores and supermarkets. They're rich in mineral oil, petrolatum, Vaseline, the mineral oil and the petrolatum jelly. So this can cause clogging of the pores. It literally can suffocate the skin as well. So when you're choosing skincare, opt for skincare that has natural oils in it. They tend to be better for the skin. They don't clog the pores and don't cause any issues. In fact, they're very healing. So most skincare and makeup today is non-comedogenic and is not going to cause a problem. Another myth that's perpetuated out there is that blackheads are made up of trapped dirt in the skin. And it's understanding why people think that this is true is because when you look at your blackheads, their pores filled with a substance that looks black, and you think, well, that's dirt. Blackheads are not trapped dirt in the skin, and I'll talk about what actually blackheads are and what causes them later. Another myth that's perpetuated out there is that soap will clean away your blackheads. Soap will not clean away your blackheads. Soap, in fact, can cause blackheads. Soap is highly alkaline. It dehydrates the skin. It dries the skin out. And when the skin is dehydrated and dry, it tightens up. The pores can tighten up, and it can cause the blockages of the pores. Soaps can leave a bit of a residue on the skin as well. Just look at the grime in your shower, the soap scum that you have to scrape off. That can cause problems, irritation, as a minimum irritation on the skin if you have a delicate skin. So soap will not clean away your blackheads. No matter how much you wash your face with soap, it's not going to cleanse the blackheads away, and I'll explain why it's later. And another myth is that you can scrub away your blackheads. So most people will want to use some kind of an abrasive scrub, hoping that they will clean out the pores and scrub away the blackheads. And that's just not what it works, because blackheads are not just on the surface. They're deep in the skin. They need to be liquefied, they need to be dissolved and released from the skin before you can cleanse them away. So I'll talk about it later. And I've even heard people using loofah, and I'll tell you a story shortly about that. So loofahs and scrubs are not the solution for blackheads. Home remedies. There is so many home remedies on the internet that will claim that cleanses away the blackheads, such as baking soda, putting a little poultice of baking soda, putting cinnamon on your skin, rubbing lemon juice in your skin, putting honey in your skin, or even turmeric and other suggestions on the internet. These will not do anything for the blackheads, but in fact, they could irritate your skin. So be careful. Things like spices, they can actually be irritating on the skin when they put heat on the skin. Certain skincare may use extracts, the antioxidants from these spices, as a beneficial ingredient, but these have been biotechnically extracted from the active ingredients in the lab, and they're removing the irritants from it before they put it in the skincare. So when you put a raw food, raw spice, you are really taking the risk of irritation, causing irritation in the skin. So be careful putting raw foods, raw spices and lemon juice and things like that on your skin, because it can upset your skin acid mantle, and it can trigger inflammatory response and cause irritation. So be careful with that. Eating oily foods causes blackheads is another myth. A lot of people think that if they eat junk food or oily foods, that it can cause more oil in the skin and cause more blackheads or breakouts. That's a myth. That's not what causes blackheads at all, so you don't have to worry about that. You will grow out of your blackheads is another myth. People say, blackheads are only found in young children, teenagers, and then you will grow out of it. Now, I've seen blackheads in adults, and in fact, blackheads take years to form. So they're not only found in young people when they do have a lot of oil flow, but it can be found in adults. And we do a lot of deep cleansing and extraction facials on adults, not just on young children. So that's a really big myth. You don't grow out of blackheads. All blackheads are caused by oily skin. That is not true. Yes, majority of them are, but I've seen some cases where blackheads are not caused by your typical oily skin. Let me give you a story. My mother-in-law, she one day developed blackheads, and the blackheads appeared on her cheeks and down the side of the neck. So they were lower cheeks and down the side of the neck. And they were very spiky and very large. They looked like mini volcanoes on the skin. So they were raised. They had a black head, black tip that was very spiky to the touch, and they came in clusters around the lower cheeks and around here as well. Now, so she went off to the pharmacist and asked him about advice how to get rid of the blackheads. So you know what they gave her? A loofah. They gave her a loofah and suggested she loofahs away those blackheads. Now you can imagine my mother-in-law, she's in her 70s, and it's a very dry skin, it's a very delicate skin, it's a very thin skin. How could you use a loofah on the face? She didn't know. She just followed the advice that was given to her. And in the end, the skin became raw. It was traumatized. It was red. It was burning and stinging, which is when she called me. She said, Yana, I don't know what to do. This is what happened. This is what I've done. Now my skin is burning and I just don't know what to do anymore. So I went to see her and have a look, and we had a little talk about, what possibly could cause those blackheads. And we've discovered, after a consultation, we've discovered that she recently, about a month ago or so, changed medication for her arthritis. And it was a new medication they were testing out, something new that's come out. And so she said, fine, I'll give it a try. 2 weeks after she started taking the medication, however, she had to stop because it caused a lot of problems in regards to her gut. She felt ill, she felt sick, she had reflux, and it really upset her stomach. So she stopped using it. And then soon after, the blackheads appeared. Like within a week or two, they appeared. So that was a clue saying that these blackheads were internally caused. And where they were located was another clue for me to tell me that it was related to the lymphatic system. So you have a large cluster of lymphatics flowing around this side of the face. And sometimes this is where people can have cystic large breakouts, blind pimple breakouts, which is also related to lymph. And it's just the lymph is trying to detoxify the skin, causing those breakouts. So what we found is where the cluster of blackheads were located, I assessed it and I determined that they were a result of her body eliminating the toxins through the skin, and it was related to the medicines that she had that she could just not tolerate. So we knew the cause. So how we addressed it, I prescribed calming, soothing, moisturizing cleanser. So a cleanser that was designed for stinging, burning, irritating skin. So to calm that skin, she had to cleanse anyway with something, but we needed to address it with something that was calming and soothing, because just splashing water even, which she ended up on because she just didn't know what else to do, just using water on her face was actually burning her skin. So using the cleanser and a toner afterwards, which I call a lotion, immediately soothed that skin and calmed it down, took the sting out. Then we prescribed a good calming, soothing moisturizer, again to immediately address that burning, stinging, itching, irritated sensation, just to calm that skin down. So it's a moisturizer specifically developed for sensitized, traumatized skin, and immediately provided relief for her, and she was just super happy with that. So once the skin was calm, then we introduced another product to dissolve away the blackheads. Now, if you're dealing with a sensitive skin, traumatized skin, delicate skin, dry skin, then we address the blackheads with enzymes rather than going in with more acid-based products like salicylic. And I'll talk about how to treat blackheads very shortly. So that was just a little story about how not all blackheads are the same, and sometimes you need to really get professional advice so they can determine the cause and then properly address that skin and treat the blackheads for you. And the final myth about blackheads is that it's kind of related to blackheads, because people find that blackheads are these large open pores that are filled, so they want them emptied and then they want to close the pores. So that's the myth, that you can close your pores. You cannot close the pores, unfortunately. When you've got open pores, they're open because they're allowing the oil to come out. So they're most often found in oily skin. When you look at a true dry skin, a skin that's never produced oils, you find that the pores are more refined, almost not existent, because there's no oil flow in the skin. So how do you refine the pores? Actually, let me talk about it very soon. Let me talk about blackheads, what they actually are, what you can do to treat blackheads, and then how to refine the pores. So let's talk about that now. So how do you properly treat your blackheads? I'm sorry to tell you this, there are no shortcuts. There's just no shortcuts. You've got to be diligent with your skincare. You've got to use the right products, do it consistently every day, and then you will see some excellent results. Professional treatments will speed things up and give you better results, and I'll talk about those as well. But let's talk about what you can do specifically at home. So let's talk about your cleansing routine. That's going to be essential, because blackheads are caused by oil flow. Okay, so they're not dirt trapped in your skin. Blackheads are the result of oil being secreted by your sebaceous glands, which are part of the hair follicle. Okay, so I use some technical jargon there. So hair follicle is your pore where the hair grows out of, and attached to it is a little gland that squeezes oil into the hair follicle to allow that hair to glide out easily and to moisturize the hair. So your oily people with oily scalps, you find that you've got more oily hair, and that's where the oil comes from the sebum. Now, we do have hair follicles all over our body except the palms and soles of our feet and some other areas, but most of the skin on your body is covered by hair follicles. You don't see them because we don't, some people, you see the hair more than others, but you do have hair follicles on your face as well. And again, you see that more hair on some people than others. So particularly down the center, we've got the hair follicles where the oil is squeezed out of. And what happens is that as our skin renews itself, so our skin is made up of layers like so. And the skin is generated, new cells are born at the bottom, and they gradually work their way up, they eventually dry up and flake off. And our skin is constantly renewing itself like that. So when the blackheads form is a result of when you have oil in the follicle and the and the dead cells that have trapped the mouth of the follicle. So you may have a buildup of dead cells that you haven't exfoliated properly, you haven't exfoliated regularly, and it's trapped the mouth of the follicle, causing the blockage of the oil in the skin, in the pore. Now the inside of your pore is also exfoliating itself. So you have a deposit of oil and dead cells into the pore. So you have a mixture of oil and dead cells. The other thing you have in there, of course, is the hair. And in some cases, the hair becomes trapped. It can't get out of a blocked pore. So it keeps growing, but it'll just curl up and then it'll shed into your hair follicle. So when you extract a blackhead out, you see the tip of it is black. The rest of it is whitish, yellowish color. And under the microscope, if you have a look, it's a mixture of fat, dead cells and hair in your hair follicle, and that's what your blackhead is. So it's not dirt trapped in your follicle. So how do you treat? If you understand what a blackhead actually is, then it'll make more sense on how to treat it. So let's go back to cleansing. Cleansing by regularly removing oil from the skin, just enough but not too much, to balance the skin so it's perfectly balanced, will help to prevent blackheads down the track, because the oil tends to be sticky and it causes the stickiness of the dead cells to stick to the skin, and it can cause that blockage at the surface. So using moisturizing, calming and soothing, gentle cleansing milk on your skin morning and night is going to be the first step to preventing and to treating blackheads. Do not over cleanse your skin. If you think more cleansing will help, it's actually going to make things worse. The more you strip your skin, the more signals are sent to your sebaceous gland, your oil gland, saying the skin is very dry on the surface, let's pump more oil. So have you ever noticed that if you over cleanse your skin just gets oilier and oilier and oilier? I had that thing happen to me when I was a teenager. I was 16 years old and I had a very oily skin. It was triggered by hormones, and I thought, what am I going to do? It feels like grease. My blackheads started to forming. I started to get some clogging and congestion as well. So I didn't know. I didn't have a mum. I didn't have somebody to teach me how to care for my skin. So I learned by reading Dolly magazines. I don't know if you guys remember Dolly. Pop your comment below if you remember Dolly. Or watching commercials on TV, commercials from skincare brands on, how to cleanse your skin if it's young, oily, pimply blackheads. So that's how I learned. So off I went to the pharmacist and got myself some good old 1006. Do you remember 1006? Which was like a really strong alcohol-based toner to take off the oil flow. Gosh, it felt good at first. But what I found, I've started using it, as I said, morning and night, and then I had to take it to school with me because the skin got oilier and oilier and oilier. There is a term for that. It's called reactive seborrhea. I overdid it. I stripped my skin. I over cleansed the skin, so the skin started pumping more oil. It's got to protect itself so it doesn't dry out. So do not strip your skin. Do not over cleanse it. Balance is the key. Talk to your beauty therapist on getting the perfect balance for your skin. Now, the next step is to exfoliate regularly. Remember, the blackheads is not just caused by oil, but also dead cell buildup, which causes the blockage and then the buildup in the skin. So regular exfoliation to remove the dead cells is going to be very important. Now, you need to use a gentle exfoliant, nothing too harsh and abrasive, which is we are so tempted to do. I can't tell you how many people I talk about to that they say, I just want a good scrub, I want a good polish that I can use in the shower. And it's all about educating people that that is not the correct way to exfoliate your skin. It can cause irritation, it can cause micro tears in your skin, it can lead down to more oil production and more problems. So you need to exfoliate gently with your skin. Use a gentle exfoliant that doesn't feel like a harsh scrub. I know they can feel satisfying, but they will damage your skin. So talk to your beauty therapist about a gentle exfoliant you can use regularly. And it's better to use something gentle more often than something that's really harsh and just use it once a week. Dissolving the blackhead is going to be key because at the moment we're just working at the surface with the cleansing and exfoliating, but the blackheads are deep in the follicle. The sebum, the dead cells, the hair are trapped in the follicle. So just cleansing, exfoliating is not going to deep cleanse that pore. So what you need to use is enzyme cleansers to dissolve that blockage, because enzymes can penetrate into the pore to dissolve that blockage and allow it to flow free to the skin, to be released by the follicle. So removing the blockage, then dissolving it will help to clear that blackhead. So that means you will need to cleanse your skin morning and night, exfoliate 2 or 3 times a week, and then deep cleanse your skin with an enzyme cleanser 2 or 3 times a week to dissolve away the blockage. And as the symptoms clear up, as your blackheads clear up, then you reduce the frequency of everything you do, the exfoliation and the deep cleansing. You still cleanse morning and night, but the exfoliation, deep cleansing just once a week as a maintenance. So enzyme cleansers are particularly good at helping to dissolve the blackheads. Refining the skin, we'll talk about, actually I'll come back to that. Moisturizing is important because when your skin is dry, it'll send signals to your sebaceous gland to pump more oil. So you need to moisturize to keep the oil balanced. So oily skins do need moisturization. Yes, they will use lighter moisturizers so they don't feel thick and heavy on the skin, but they need to be hydrated. So the moisturizers for oily skins will have more water in them, hyaluronic acid to hydrate the skin. So, and hopefully, if you're using a professional skincare product, they will also have ingredients in it that'll calm down the oil production. So there's cell communicating ingredients that talk to the sebaceous glands to say you don't need to pump so much oil. So it actually helps to reduce the oil flow. Some of the moisturizers may have powders in them, built in, like a micro little absorbent powders that keeps your skin nice and matte all day too. So it's really worthwhile talking to your beauty therapist and looking at a professional based product for oily problem skin, because they tend to be more effective and they'll be a little bit more intelligently formulated than just your basic supermarket brands. Sun protection is going to be important too, because sun can cause that top of the hair follicle to turn black. Now, there's 2 theories about what causes blackheads, and both could be true. Is yes, there is pigment in the in the dead cells in the blackheads that is triggered by UV exposure that turns black, and some say that it's the oxygen causes oxygenation of the fatty acids in the blackheads. So I think it's a combination of both. So really, sun protection and moisturizing would be really good to help to keep those blackheads at bay as well. Now let's talk about, once you've cleared your blackheads, about refining the pores, about getting that smooth skin so the skin doesn't look so spongy and open pored, and your makeup glides on beautifully. Now, there are products on the market that you can use that will instantly give you that blurring effect, that will instantly camouflage open pores until you treat them. So this would be primers that have built-in ingredients to create that blurring effect on the skin. So if you've got open pores and blackheads and oily skin, I suggest using a good primer under your makeup. Or some days on the weekends, like for example tomorrow, I don't need to wear makeup, so I just use that over the top of my moisturizers to create the beautiful smooth complexion. The other way to refine open pores is by exfoliating technique, advanced exfoliating techniques. See, when you've got an open pore and you've got a buildup of dead cells either side of the pore, it'll make that pore seem deeper and wider. By exfoliating, you're reducing the size of the pore and making the pore appear more refined. So by using advanced exfoliating techniques, you can actually refine open pores. So what are some of the treatments that can help? Microdermabrasion is fantastic. Diamond tip microdermabrasion particularly makes your skin feels really, really smooth. So try a course of microdermabrasion to reduce the size of the pores. Now, microdermabrasion can also be helpful in helping treat blackheads. But remember, microdermabrasion is an exfoliating technique, only works on the surface, doesn't work on the deep clogging in the pore. So it helps to remove the plug and refine the pores, but you need to do something else at home to actually remove those blackheads. The other technique, or well, actually treatment you can do, a professional treatment you can do in the salon that does dissolve the blackheads is called disencrustation. Disencrustation is done with a galvanic machine and a specialized serum or ampule that is applied to the skin. They use the machine, the current, to draw that ampule or serum deep into the pore, and it causes what's called saponification. So it breaks up, literally breaks up all the oil into smaller particles so that they can flow freely to the skin. So a course of galvanic disencrustation treatments are very effective at helping clear blackheads. Deep cleansing facials with extractions will immediately remove that blackhead, but be very careful with extractions because it has to be done properly, and it has to be done by somebody who's properly trained and well experienced in it. Because if you don't squeeze it the right way, or if that pore is very fragile, it will burst underneath and it can cause a pimple or infection in the skin. So deep cleansing facial by somebody who's qualified and well trained and experienced can give you that instant relief. But remember, that pore stays open, it'll fill up again. So your correct skincare at home is going to be important. Just by having a deep cleansing facial, it'll give you that instant relief and instant result, but you've got to go home and maintain it. Otherwise, if you go back to your old routine on bad habits, they'll form again, and you've got to go back for that painful extraction facial. So you work it together. Ask your beauty therapist what you can do at home now that your skin is clear to prevent those blackheads from forming again. And peels. Of course, peels are a fantastic way to treat blackheads. Love peels because they work two ways. They work on the surface as well as in the pore. So they exfoliate as well as dissolve the blackheads. So it's like a two-in-one. Unlike microdermabrasion that only treats the surface and then you have to do something else to treat deep down, and unlike galvanic disencrustation, which just works on the blackheads but not the exfoliation, peels are actually really good because they do both. Particularly if you have a combination peel, a peel with glycolic and salicylic in it. Glycolic will exfoliate, salicylic will dissolve that blackhead in the skin. So having a course of glycolic salicylic peels, or just a stronger strength salicylic peel, if your problem is really stubborn and intense, then you will see fabulous results. You'll probably need a course between 3 and 6, done fortnightly, or weekly, or fortnightly, depending on the strength of the peel, to see really good results. And again, Once it clears up, you've got to go back in at home and maintain it with good skincare, just what I talked about earlier. So cleansing regularly, exfoliating regularly, using an enzyme cleanser to dissolve the blackheads as a maintenance. You go back to maintenance once a week to prevent those from forming. Moisturizing your skin is going to be important. So once you have blackheads and oily skin, it is important that you maintain your skin to prevent the blackheads from forming again in the future. So I think I've covered everything, except I think one lifestyle tip I would have is that drink lots of water. Moisturizes the skin from the inside, then your sebaceous glands are more relaxed. They don't have to pump so much oil because your skin is more moisturized. So perhaps that would be one lifestyle tip I would have. Foods don't impact on blackheads unless you have the toxic blackheads, which I talked about earlier, which are your lymphatic related blackheads. Then there may be something that you're eating that is affecting your body, and it's trying to eliminate the toxins. But you know when those blackheads, they're very different. So toxic blackheads will be around the lymphatic glands, and they will be spiky and large, and it's almost like the skin is trying to push them out. And in fact, that's what it's trying to do. It's pushing out all the toxins out of the skin, and eventually they will dry up and just come off. Whereas your oil-related blackheads are usually found down the T-zone, especially on the nose, sometimes on the chin and the forehead. People can get them on the back as well, because blackheads, or you can get oily skin on the blackheads, on the back. You can get oily skin on the back, so blackheads can form. All the treatments were exactly the same on the back as I discussed. So if you've got blackheads on the back, you can use disincrustation treatments, you can do microdermabrasion, you can do peels. I think peels are fantastic because you're treating both the exfoliation and the dissolving, and using good exfoliation and cleansing routine. So for the back, what I would suggest is using a good shower gel designed for oily skin, and then using a brush every now and then, so 2 or 3 times a week as an exfoliation part on your back. That'll help to clear those blackheads. Now, particularly if you're a woman and you're using deep conditioning treatments in your hair, they can sometimes cause clogging of the pores on your back, because remember, these are designed to condition hair, not for the skin. So then we don't know whether they're formulated as non-comedogenic product that could actually cause comedones or the blackheads. So what I would suggest is, after you've rinsed off your conditioning treatments, that's when you cleanse your back and your face as well, so to remove the conditioner off your skin that could possibly cause the problems down the track. So there are a couple of tips there. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found the information useful, and I hope that I've dispelled some of those myths about blackheads, because they keep popping up just like those blackheads do. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for joining me live this week, and I would like to encourage you to look at your skincare routine. Make sure you exfoliate regularly. Why not take advantage of the weekend? Give yourself a lovely exfoliating treatment and a mask to brighten up your dull skin. So I hope you enjoy that. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments below. You can always private message me on the Facebook page, or you can join my group, which is the Beauty Business Students group, and I'll link to it below. Well, until next time, have a fabulous week. I'll see you again next Saturday. Bye for now.